Okay, you pulled 150-50 and got Cartethiya. You also pulled for her weapon and managed to get it early. So now you're excited because you finally got the character you've been saving all your pulls for. You searched up which character works well with Cartethiya and you come to find out that it's Ciaccona. Yeah, the same Ciaccona you skipped because you thought you wouldn't need her for your Cartethiya. So now you're panicking because you're seeing everywhere online that Cartethiya feels terrible if you don't pull her best in slot team and yada yada yada. So you decided to look on your account and see that you only have Arrow, Rover, and Shorekeeper. But what if I were to tell you that you don't need Ciaccona to perform well? What if I told you that you have more than one option besides Arrow, Rover, and Shorekeeper? What if I told you that you can use even someone like Sanhua or even Alto? And no, I'm not even kidding. Like, I just saw a team that uses Alto. So yeah, stick around to see how those teams work in-game, and I hope you all enjoy the video. So there's 3 things I want to tackle in today's video. Number 1, I want to look at Cartethiya's kit and see how much arrow erosion she can apply to the enemy herself and see if it's enough to activate her damage increase. Number 2, I want to look at all the free-to-play Ciaccona substitutes to see if they're at all worth using on your Cartethiya team. And number 3, we're going to be reacting to a video that showcases every possible team you can use with Cartethiya. So first things first, can Cartethiya actually apply enough arrow erosion on herself? Now, it is important to note that Cartethiya has to be able to stack at minimum 5 stacks of arrow erosion, and I say that because she has a passive that increases the damage she deals to enemies that have those arrow erosion stacks. 1 to 3 arrow erosion stacks will activate the 30% damage increase. However, you can further increase her damage by another 30% if you're able to apply 3 more stacks of arrow erosion on top of the already existing 3 stacks, which means that's 10% for every 1 extra stack. Which means that Cartethiya is getting a whopping 60% damage increase if you manage to get the max 6 stacks. While that does sound pretty nice, most of Cartwheel's damage is going to come from Fleur-de-Lis. And let me explain why. You see, Cartethiya is able to apply 1 stack of arrow erosion with the 4th string of her basic attack and 2 stacks with her skill, which means Cartethiya does apply enough arrow erosion to get the 30% damage increase. However, when it comes to Fleur-de-Lis, her role isn't to stack arrow erosion, but to detonate it. Her 2nd and 5th string of her basic attack detonates 1 stack, her skill detonates 1 stack, and her mid-air attack also detonates 1 stack, meaning she's essentially removing all your arrow erosion stacks before you use her 2nd ultimate, which also means you lose the 30% plus damage increase before she uses her ult and before the transformation even finishes. But fear not, there is a way to sort of counter this, and I'll tell you step by step how to use Fleur-de-Lis's corrosion detonation to its full potential. So first things first, you'd want to start your rotation with Arrow Rover, since their outro increases the amount of arrow erosion stacks you can inflict by 3, meaning you can stack up to 6 max instead of 3 max. However, it is only for 10 seconds, so make sure you rotate fast. So once Cartethiya comes onto the field after Rover, you summon all 3 swords on the field, stack your arrow erosion, then you can use her ultimate and transform into Fleur-de-Lis. So now you're probably wondering,
okay, I have Fleur-de-Lis active, but she's just gonna remove all the arrow erosion stacks. So what do I do?
So if you didn't know, you can actually freely swap between Cartethiya and Fleur-de-Lis. However, I'd recommend swapping at least once to reapply the arrow erosion stacks and then use Fleur-de-Lis's ultimate to do a lot of damage. And I say swap once because from personal experience, trying to swap more than once just didn't work, because every time I swap twice, she stays in the Cartethiya form. But maybe I have to try it again. So if it works, then I'll show a clip of it working right now. Another thing to note is that apparently you want to avoid using every move that Fleur-de-Lis uses to detonate erosion and just use the mid-air attacks to detonate them, since it's apparently the strongest way to detonate the erosion stacks. I would go more into it, but I lost the tweet that actually brought this up, so thank you, Twitter. So now that we got Cartethiya out of the way, I think it's time to look at her potential teammates that can support her. So we have the obvious best in slot Ciaccona, which I already made an entire video going over her kit, which will be in the description below. But just know that you wouldn't have to worry at all about arrow erosion if she's on your team. Next up is going to be Arrow Rover. They're a staple in Cartethiya's team, and I already went through their role on the team earlier, so no further explanation is needed. Then we have Sanhua and Alto up next, and I grouped them together since their roles are pretty simple to discuss. Since Cartethia's heavy attack and skills damage is considered basic attack damage, Sanhua's ability to boost basic attack damage by 38% would prove viable for Cartethiya, and Alto boosts arrow damage by 23% with his outro skill. And do I really need to explain why this would be good for Cartethiya? And of course, you knew that Shorekeeper had to be in here, being the best supporter in the game, literally. You could never go wrong with her on your team. But yeah, looking at the list, Cartethiya has 3 free-to-play options with only 2 limited characters. Of course, if you want to exclude Rover, then it's tied to the 2. But the fact that it's 2 4-stars that literally everybody has on their account, I think that's pretty good if I'm not gonna lie. And well, if you missed out on Shorekeeper, then that's kinda on you, I'm not gonna lie. She literally reran already, come on. So this is the end of the scripted segment. I personally don't have Cartethiya, so I can't tell you whether or not if you should skip or pull, or how powerful she is. But regardless, I'm happy that I'm able to provide any info that you may not have known about this character. But anyways, let's get straight into how these Cartethiya teams actually work in-game.
Hopefully this helps. The wicked will face I am the Tempest! Stay behind me. Lotus pervade! A chain tremble! Such is their blessing. Repent. For silence beckons. Atonement. Torrents rage on. Tide. Furious tides split the heavens. Wind calls, waves follow. Wind rises. Hopefully this helps. The wicked will face the wind howls, unfettered by bounds. Stay behind me. Like frigid death. A perish of perception. Such is their blessed oceans. Bow before me. Exonerate. Salvation. Loading. In war with time. Wind calls, waves follow. Hopefully this helps. The wicked will face wind howls, unfettered by bounds. Trumpet. Such true form, revealed at last. From the soul. Stay clothing. Astral modulation. Wind calls, waves follow. Annihilation. The wicked will face wind howls, unfettered by bounds. Purge the such as their oceans. Bow before me. Till the doom. Atonement. Windstorm. Sweep all away. Tempest of slackness.
The bullets fly. Bang, bang. Right?
Collapse! Heavens! Such is the repent. For silence beckons. Salvation. Furious tides. Split the heavens. Wind calls. Waves follow. Hopefully this helps. We'll face waves rise. Judgment strikes.
Down the end. Better keep up. Lost in the mist of time. Right? Trumble back.
Destroy! True form. Revealed at last. My blade. Purge all evil.
I've been so tired. I don't wanna fight, but you're a liar. I need your help, cause the situation's dire. I'm so sick of using people to get higher. Higher, we can take